Décima partida.
This is the starting point for where champions are really going to be tested. The battle bus taking off here in game 10. And there's one off-spawn fight that I have a feeling we're going to need to see a little bit of a resurgence from Tayson if he intends on continuing to pose a threat for that top half of the leaderboard. So far here today, it has been largely Proxy's team coming out on top, but anything could change in the blink of an eye.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Who invited Aspect to this party? A whole nother trio now joining the fun at Rangers Ruin. That just put a huge switch up on how these things have been playing out, but instead of a straight 50-50, the majority of these fights, they're trying to take two different sides of the POI. On the outskirts is Aspect and his trio, Tinka. They're trying to loot up. This is the team coming into the Global Championship. They were landing at the Kappa Kappa factory. SETI lands over there. They are on fire. I wouldn't want to land there either, so they're just trying to figure out something.
Seems a little bit bizarre, though, that Kazi Aspect would choose to actually try and land as a third party here at Rangers Ruin. This is preposterous. Pablo, Chino, Proxy, they fully understand. We've got to create a little bit of a gap here. They're already splitting this POI slightly with Tayson, Chicho, and Atris, and Aspect Tinka. They did not get the drop they were looking for. Tayson, Chicho, and Atris, they might just be able to run the Yoshi fellas out of here, if not run them down for eliminations entirely.
Honestly, considering the little bit of loot that they did have, you know, Wrecker Revolver on one, Sentinel Pump on the other, and they do have some shields as well. Not what I expected out of this drop, but they're figuring out a way to stay alive. Protexi just immediately runs out of Rangers Ruin. He said, nah, I do not want to fight that triple contested drop. They immediately move towards the west and find a key elimination. Proxy, Chino,
se me había complicado porque como yo streameo en iMac,
el
formato es un poco más complicado que con compus de Windows y así, pero ya se estará logrando eso.
Just nowhere left to escape. That's a really nice elimination to find too, especially considering that they were pretty much forced out of Rangers Ruin due to Kazi third partying.
Now Striker and Tisco just kind of hiding. They know their teammate went down in that direction. All those builds, and he's trying to figure out, assess the situation. Can we get those revives, moves back up? But Pico, Benno, Flixie returning back to their throne. Their first elimination's cleaned up. Toyota figures out a way to even the fight, even landing some crucial damage onto Flixie as he tries to run away. Toyota finishes the job. 2 straight knocks right off the start.
It's definitely going to be a bumpy road for Benno's team if this storyline just continues to hold strong here. But someone who hasn't had any issues with their early game, it's going to be Swizzy, Queasy, and Mercer, just taking full advantage of everything that's provided by the Hive. And Swizzy even doing a great job scouting around, heading straight towards the top of their surge base. They're ready to start getting some tags in.
Oh my, another team, Aspect, Tika, Kazi. They say, you know what? We already affected one fight at Rangers Ruin. What's the harm in going to another? They immediately make their way on over toward the top side. Tayson, Chicho, and Riz say, you know what? We're going to chase them as far as we can towards the edge of the zone. Once they reach that point, they realize they don't have the loadouts they want. 30 builds on one of those players, an empty item slot. They're immediately about face. They're trying to figure out where they can pick up the scraps from.
But you don't want to be operating with scraps when players like Marius, Pixie, and Vanya just have so much at their disposal. Uncontested, Poix are headquarters. They can spend so much time here, Jacob, and they tend to more often than not. But Visual's brain diminished. They might have something to say about it. They went for an attempt at a sneak plan last game. It was delayed, but they're still able to, follow through that last lobby. But now, Pixstar and Demas, a little bit of a fickle position at Kappa Kappa Factory, no one else in sight. But I wouldn't be too worried about these guys just yet. I mean, they're rolling off that momentum from the last win.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about it, but to start the year, Pixstar and Demas haven't even played a single game in a regional FNCS final. And now you look at the end of the year, they've not only won a game on the biggest stage Fortnite has to offer, they're in contention of winning the Fortnite Global Championship. if I've ever seen a Cinderella story, this will be one right here. But they have so many juggernauts in their path. Not just for Stash in the trio, not just Pixie, Vanya, and Marius, but Seti, Yapko, Panzer, Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid as well.
But something that took place in the last lobby, Jacob, is that we saw many of our top 10 players on the leaderboard getting eliminated early on. Pollo, Agers, Acorn. Well, they're still looking to try and break into that in the first place. Agers gonna find the first elimination onto Wixie, and sure enough,
Qué chingón estar ahí, la neta.
Gentle Mates letting everyone know just how much they support seeing Pollo prosper as he
Pinche
continues
sensación de estar bien perra,
to
güey.
damage, trying to apply
Si uno cuando va
pressure on
rankeando algo como si ya no sabes si queda chido,
just
imagínate un
getting
puto
shot at from
mundial.
every direction.
Agers, Acorn, and Pollo, that's been one of the biggest thorns in their side. They kind of thought they would have multiple teams in the distance from Demon's Debris that were building surge towers to trade shots with, but they're getting pushed. They're forced on a roulette drop spot and having to force a fight just like this. So a huge change in the game plan coming into the weekend, but Pollo's not going to slow down. He doesn't want to stop or be denied this opportunity. Acorn picks up that elimination onto Resides. OCE is out of this lobby in Game 10, and that's continuing to build the confidence for Pollo, Agers, and Acorn.
And the main reason why they're even pushing this far south
como
is because the
Victoriana
team
Pollo,
that they've
güey.
been typically trying to establish a little
Tiene
bit
muy
of
buen
surge
fandom el
trading
Pollo.
action with
Peter ayer como lo estuvieron
Hero
abucheando
Hot.
cuando
They
entró,
have
güey, el
not
vato
been
sigue.
faring well off spawn.
Shut the
So
fuck up,
with that
motherfucker.
trio being eliminated, well, Acorn, Agers,
Click.
Pollo, you've got to look elsewhere. So where do they end up? Tackling Alex in on Resigns. That might be a recurring
Y
theme.
Yamso,
Hard to tell just yet, but they still got to make up for so much lost time, and they're not the only ones. Yamso, Clicks, and Higgs. We've seen just how stone-faced they have been between each of these lobbies. They were starting off day 2 in that 8th place position, but they have been getting pushed lower and lower in that leaderboard.
Yeah, more and more teams choosing to rotate early, not giving them the surge that they were looking for. But back to this fight here, it may not be off the drop on this spawn,
¿Se han
but
dado
they're all
cuenta que
looted
casi
up,
no
ready to
ponen en
go. Back
pantalla
at
ahorita el
Rangers Ruin,
equipo de Peter,
Tayson
güey?
looking across, Pablo's there, but he's going to go ahead and try to disengage as
¿A
far
quién
as
le vas,
possible,
Coco?
using the crash pad, even
Pues
if that
la
means
neta yo le
going
tenía fe a
further
Peter,
away
güey,
where the
pero
zone's actually at, and you can see why.
No,
Gazzetta,
ya el
Way,
brother
and
ahorita ya no puede hacer
Scarpa
mucho.
have been third-partying Rangers Ruin
Está muy abajo
all
en el top.
weekend long.
Muy,
They
muy
have
bajo.
that awareness
Ya
to
las
watch out
últimas
for it.
tres
The
partidas.
difference, though, is that they've been third-partying a weekend
No, es imposible que
Proxy
se
or a
recupere.
weekend Tyson trio, and now they're
Me
having
hubiera
to
gustado ver a
deal
Peter
with
de
Proxy,
campeón una vez
Pablo,
más,
and
pero
Gino perfectly healthy
no,
and
está
ready to
complicado.
strike. Not only that, but they're still also tangled up with
Pero el grupo de
Tyson
Squeeze iba muy bien,
underneath
güey.
them. Ping with Malabuca,
Esos brothers van a
though,
ganar
on
si
the
siguen
ropes
así,
here,
como han
trying to
estado
see
en
if
los
they
2
can
días.
battle their way out of this box fight position, but Kappa Kappa Factory, this is all just spilling over and against them.
¿Y
They're
tú, Juan?
seeing
¿Con quién vas?
whether or not they'll even have the opportunity to go for an immediate fight here, but Victor B, he's immediately cranking up onto height, just all stuck inside of these early storm ticks.
Yeah,
Epic,
he's
güey,
gonna
la
die
ballena épica.
with paper
No,
on the top
hombre.
side of this fight.
92
Epic kind of stuck
puntos,
down
güey.
below as a solo.
Van muy bajos
But with
también
paper
esos
and Victor
brothers.
B being a distraction, Box is going to get dropped down to only HP.
Dibuja
Epicwell's
345,
moving up
pues
that
no
high
está, pero no
ground.
mames,
They
el
finally
Squeeze
figured a
van
way on the side of Malibu.
500
Box and
algo,
Pings
güey.
converge into the same box. But this is their chance now with all those extra hills. This is their original surge base.
Chido
Try to
cómo
sit towards the
ya
middle
saben
and
cada
figure
quien
out
su
the plan for
estrategia, ¿no?
Epicwell,
De,
Victor B,
a ver, ahí están
and
las
Paper.
curas, yo
So
les
that way
mando todo.
they can try to make that smart move, but Victor
Lo
B,
que
Paper,
ocupen.
Epicwell, they're just going to go ahead and
Me van a
disengage
rushear.
on out. They got that early storm surge damage, and now they just want to beat
¿Quién
teams
será el
on that
fragger, güey,
rotation.
Just looking
de
to get
cada trío?
a little bit of space creation here. Because eventually, Big
Marius
Malabuca and
es
Watts
el top
are
2.
going to have to move from this position.
Sí,
but
también van
might have
bien,
been
pues sí, es
a little
top
bit
2, güey.
too ambitious, trying to just crash
Vamos a
pad
ver quién
out
se queda con
directly
el
in the line of
trofeo.
sights there from Watts, Malabuca, and Ping. Of course, you're going to eat some damage in exchange.
Pollo, Agers, and Acorn. Not only did they get their Demon Debris Medallion, the mythic weapon, they got the eliminations onto
los han puesto ahorita en cámara.
Resign, and Alex. They immediately
El equipo
moved
de
towards the
Marius
eastern
en el
side of the
Squeezy.
map. One of the only teams on this side of the map having access to that bunker, and they immediately take it. And this is where they start to replenish everything from materials to resources, their loadout. And since they're ahead of all these other teams in that path, they have the time
Xavi
to go ahead and
Reyes,
continue to
hombre, tiene una
rotate
pinche
toward the north.
torresota ahí.
Same thing for some of these teams
Pero
that
cuando
are working
matan
their
a
way from
alguien,
the top
sale
down.
arriba a la
Savage chat
izquierda.
reason, even though they are missing some shields,
Sí, sí, sí.
it's in the name of Storm Surge. taking those shots, taking those chances. That way they don't have to worry about it later in the game.
So Savage, Reason, and Chap are going to have to dig deep here, though, Jacob.
les tumbaron la
They took a
construcción.
way too early departure in the last lobby, and having been chopped
ese
just
Chap
now.
va- pero traían
Fortunately, Chap, Reason,
Saltivaya.
able to utilize some of that Flowberry Fizz, their surge base, obviously stockpiled with more than enough resources. So not too heavily in danger, but at the same time, fully aware of the fact that teams are looking to try and catch them slipping.
Yeah, for that team that knocked down, even though they survived, it's like, do I invest the resources, build another
El
surge
cuidado que
tower,
estoy con la
or do I just try to rotate?
matracas 3000.
Chino, Fordoxy, Pablo, one of the more aggressive teams in the lobby, especially Chino. The most eliminations in all of the Fortnite Global Championship so far when it comes to individual
La
players.
verga,
And guess
güey,
what?
qué
Let's
perra,
add
güey,
one
qué
more
perro, güey.
to that total as Gabzetta goes down, and that's a little bit personal. It's not just for the points to catch up on the leaderboard. It's not just for the Storm Surge. It's just to shoo that fly away from their picnic.
That's really all
Se
it's
me
been.
hace raro
Just
ver a
that
alguien
gnat
ahorita en
in
el
your
mundial con
face.
una-
They won't leave them alone,
un
but you
arma
know
de
what?
esas, güey.
Fordoxy, Chino, and Pablo, when they've actually got some materials and a
Tiene un
loadout
retraso
to
a la hora
work
de
with,
disparar y
this
en
is
ese
the
momento te puedes
last team
reventar
you
el culo
ever
ahí.
want to get caught up with in a box fight because they have such a commanding presence in those aggressive instances.
Yeah, here's just that. We might have missed it, but Chino's gonna make sure we do not miss
Hombre,
all
que
the
pinche
action. That was only his
velocidad pa' matar raza,
first
güey.
elimination. We saw this one on the Gabzettos. He went back to back with a little bit of help from Fred.
Why'd that look like a little edit course, though? He's just like, this is just another day for me. Like, another day at the office entirely. But King, PA's in phaser. Scouting out area. Never want to leave yourself too overexposed, but Fordoxy, no intentions of slowing down just yet.
Me
Now,
imagino que la
King is
minigun
finally
la ocupan nada más
this
para
fight.
destrozar rápido
Tayson
la-
has been knocked.
las
Chino,
cajas, güey.
once he gets going, it's like impossible
con
to
Tayson.
shut him down.
Perro.
And Chino, side by side, racking up the
yendo
eliminations,
bien con la
several
minigun.
now to boot. That's just on his own head. Fordoxy and Pablo also rocking their own individual eliminations, but they are a little bit hurt. They do have so much to bring themselves back up to full HP, though, Jacob, because of these win-outs on their fights.
Yeah, even after taking down Tayson's team, you still see Focus, Upple, Mixon, here, Tinka Aspect, and their trio were there at one point or another, but they immediately saw what was going on and said, hey, it might be better for us to try to go to the zone, worry about Storm Surge a little bit later. At least there's two teams we could try to look back on and try to focus. Fred underneath, along with Pablo and Chino. They're just trying to assess the situation. They know another team is up there. They just don't know exactly where they're positioned at.
After yesterday,
Fordoxy.
Upple, Focus, and Mixon, we saw opportunities for where they were able to shine, but dealing with a team like Fordoxy, Pablo, and Gino, it's usually not worth sticking around. Better to just prioritize the positioning, shoot out the crash pad from behind you, but both these trios just gonna head their separate directions, two different styles of rotate.
Falcon ya
Ooh, it might not be the biggest upgrade for them, but
Muy
they are
raza
going to
que
be
se
able to
pone
replenish
Falcon.
their crash pads if it does spawn out. Maybe upgrade their Sentinel pump if it does drop as well. 3 different ones, but that's what they get. A little bit
Ay, el
more
equipo de
loot to
Quiz
work with
621
once
puntos.
they get that rank upgrade. And it's only a B rank though, so you can see the kind of the slow play, no
Marisco van
eliminations.
en
Not
segundo con
necessarily their
540.
game plan though.
I like this dead side wraparound though from Seti, Panzer, and Yapko. They've got early surge already locked in, so they're gonna opt to already
El
make
equipo de
a
Clixi de
direct
Onzo también
line
sigue
in towards
en
the
pie.
elevation of the mountain range and potentially push back other teams that might be looking to try and rotate a little bit after the fact.
I can agree with that. Clicks takes in Yamzo. This time around, the zone pulling towards the north, which means they kind of have the luxury to be able to sit in their base. I believe this might have been the team that we saw kind of get chopped earlier on in this game, but as we tune in, Ager is feeling a little bit of struggle. That's Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual on the other side. They have to abandon ship in terms of getting Agers back into the game, so Pollo, Acord, they're going to have to work this as a duo, and that's a huge disadvantage going against NA champs, Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, and they're looking to get aggressive. There's only one way back into this game, and it's through eliminations itself.
This is starting to feel like Major 3 and NAC all over again right now, Jacob. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual seemingly in the
No sé con el
driver's
equipo de
seat right
Pollo,
now for
güey,
this
Peter.
box fight. That is up until Cold loses a good chunk of his shield. He's going to retreat back towards the high ground. Pollo, Agers, side by side, holding down the slower layer. But the longer this drags out, the the more time it provides for Ryu, Snowy, and
De
Sun
ser
to move in.
dúo a ser rivales
Just a
en
kind
un
of scary
mundial,
situation,
güey.
because even with the knock on the Agers, Peter Golden Ritual didn't play aggressive, and that's usually something you
apenas
see
iba a
at
decir,
this
ojalá
team
se dieran
time
ahorita un
and
tirito
time again, especially
Pollo y
since
Peter.
they have a deficit that they have on the leaderboard, 14th place versus 18th. You'd expect both of these teams to try to make some sort of a play, but they also know this is the two teams we've been seeing all year long essentially battle it out for 1 and 2 in terms of actual top spots and grand finals leaderboards, but in terms of the community as well.
But Pollo and Peterbot, Jacob, they were just global champions. They did that together. And now, here today, both of them going on huge recovery tours just to try and bring themselves back into contention for top 5. But Peterbot, Ritual, Cole, they're just continuing to push themselves up the cliff face there. I have to check back in to see whether or not Acorn Pollo even decided to pick back up on that engagement. But for right now, Reason, Chap, this is dangerous. They've got Gina, Broxy, and Pablo trailing them, and they've already lost Mr. Savage. They want to play for the reboot, but they've got to deal with Hero first.
Yeah, they're kind of faking it, faking like they were going to try to crash pad away, get somebody on the other side to make a mistake. Even though they didn't peek, they realized where they were and immediately start to put pressure down. They have the Stinger, they have the minigun. They are going to melt through these builds if they could focus all on the same target. For Reason and Chap, they're 1,300 damage above the threshold, dropping down to 1,100, but they have more than enough to focus on trying to get Savage back into the game. No other team, or at least not many, can say that they have that amount of comfortability. So for Doxy,
No, la
Gino,
cagaron ahí
Pablo,
poniendo ese
they're just going to
cresta
continue
ahí.
to try to rotate, use the Flowberry Fizz, use the crash pad to get out.
We can get a chance to look in and see what happened. Mr. Savage just too preoccupied dealing with Halon on the other side of this wall. Doesn't get a chance to close off this back tarp. That is a big
Tito Jiménez, hola mi brother, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días.
there. It's going to be a huge setback too.
Bienvenido al directo.
Chap and Reason to try and bring it back. But Matias, Pixie, Vanya, they've got so much damage right now above the surge threshold, Jacob. All they want to prioritize is the high ground hold. They have made that very clear here today.
Yeah, and they got a smooth rotation in. Every other team in front
que
of
les
them
dan foco
is
a
also
estos
doing the
brothers,
same
no
thing,
los
so they're
había
not
visto
going to be
ahorita en
contested
pantalla.
by many up until the point where they start to hit
Son
that
que
line on the
60,
zone. You see it getting stacked
81
more and more on the
puntos van
south
abajo
side,
del
where more
equipo
and
de
more
Quizzy.
teams are going to have to rotate into. On the whole
Es algo,
northeast side, there's 3
Es una
teams
diferencia
stacked up.
grande.
Malibu, Pings, and Walks going to be one of them. Day 2 today, their run has been impeccable. 345 points, doing their best to close the gap as much as they can, but they're kind of in a tough situation here. Talked about 3 big teams all around, ready to fight if they make a mistake. And they're all going to rotate out first, beating Malibu, Pings, and Walks on this rotation.
Smart that they're not trying to overcommit.
No,
Talking
ya.
about overcommitment,
Chap, te van a dar tu madre ahí, mi
sees
brother.
FKS. They were trying to bring
ya
it
lo
back
bajó.
into the mix, but Jap taking full advantage of the situation, just bragging out entirely. FKS, the secondary elimination there. And that is exactly what Chap and Reason needed. Breathing room. Maybe we'll see Mr. Savage back in this
El
one.
Mer está ahí bien tranquilito chingándose un chef.
Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache, this is a moment. This is a moment because they've had
Qué verga de ser estar en ese puto estadio viendo todas las partidas, viendo los pros reventándose su madre, güey.
And that 185 point gap got dropped to 81. But with still an 81 point lead, it's about a game or so. They have a cushion. They just need to execute here and now. They cannot wait, because if they falter early, that's just opening up the floodgates for anybody and everybody to start to catch up.
But the north side of the zone, it's starting to pull so much congestion. Clicks, Yamto, Higgs, they want to take over the position that Curly, Reed, and Cooper currently reside in. But they don't even realize just on the other end of that box, Gino, Pablo, Fredoxy, and you want to talk about guys who are looking for a fight. Just look at the amount of eliminations they've already acquired by 7th zone. This is one of the few teams, it might even be the only team capable of dropping a double-digit elimination win.
Capable, they did it yesterday to close out the day. 19 eliminations. This is giving me flashbacks of just that. They're moving from Clicks, Higgs, and Yamto to a whole nother trio towards the north side of the map. That's Paca, Pars, and Pump. And they have the luxury. They can wait. They can let that team make a mistake. You're seeing Storm Surge really start to affect this lobby. Kanata, even while he's 1,500 above, finding opportunities and not trying to let them pass. They started off the entire tournament with a Game 1 victory royale and doing their best to remain consistent ever since. NA's best hope to win the entire tournament and stay inside of the top 5.
They've got a lot of surge, zone, pull, rather favorable for the time being. And being in that 4th place position, they gotta hold their own. Vortex, Goofy Mountain, it can be a real threat, but Kanata just immediately pushing them back. Don't start trying to peek our direction. Still, Sphinx, Buzz, and Shadow, they didn't get the memo. They're still willing to try and cross over, but Reason, smothered, trying to see if he can live. Aspect gonna be knocked though, and that's everything for Reason right now. He needed some form of a lifeline and the life jacket from that elimination. If he can get to the body loop, but no! Another team, Mixin and Upful, they're gonna take over.
Yeah, just a little bit more than those siphon materials. Upful and Mixin, just like you said, they went ahead and stole all of that loot from the other loot that Reason desperately needed, but he gets tagged up. Oh my, a turnaround 180, turns and burns to take down Kazi. And I'm talking about how low of resources he actually had. Well, that siphon is gonna help tenfold.
Reason knows Amar is watching. He's trying to deliver the best sort of birthday gift, and what's better than clutching up a nice set of eliminations here to keep the dream going. But Reason starting to get a little lobby focus. Some heavy hitters right in front of his team as Starman picks, but as a solo, what more can he do? He has to stay hidden. He has to conceal himself in the backside of his own. Mustache, he's lost his IGL. He's lost his other fragger. It's Poyo who's taken out his fellow gentlemate. Swizzy eliminated. Agers gonna come at a cost, but the double revive, they might be able to pull it off. They're gonna drop all the way down to the bottom of the mountain face, but it was too far. They weren't intending to stand themselves directly outside with the zone pool. The zone pool is saving them.
Yeah, the zone pool is truly a blessing for Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, because it also stopped them becoming a focus of that lobby on that side. But with Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache having some difficulties in this game, it leaves high ground open for none other than Vanya, Marius, and Pixie. Does anybody challenge that high ground for Noxy, Chino, Pablo would probably be one of my best bets, but you can see a huge amount of resources missing. 6 HP, only finding bandages, and eventually we'll go back to 2 empty slots.
There's so much metal, all these pre-existing builds, and not only that, but the ship in elevation. Pixie well overhead. He might be able to even see this team scattered through the low ground. They're trying to get whatever hidden positions they can, but Proxy, he runs into the wrong box. Proxy's immediately put down into the dirt. Pablo and Chino, they're gonna have to get it out the mud, and Pablo with the elimination onto Upful now means that they're stuck inside the building. They've got to break out.
But this is the point in time in the game. Top 17 teams still left alive. Placement points will start to click in with every team that falls and cascade further and further, with the eventual winner getting 65 points. But in the feed, you see Chino, he's going to go down.
Oh no.
Yeah, that puts pain and hunger inside as Biggs is now feeling that same pressure. He's gonna fall. Demas is being stuck by himself. He has to try to figure out a way out of this situation because they have no resources. Darm, they're separated just a little bit. No materials, and now the zone and somebody else moving in. Oh my, he does it again. Big Darm is gonna take down Poyo.
And this is exactly why they are the prospects of Poland. Darm just doing everything he can to make the impossible happen.
No, la zona ya está bien reducida, güey.
They're just so healthy overhead. Darm is going to meet his demise at the hands of Mustache, but Mustache just not enough gas left
ya
in the
Mustache
tank.
a la verga, ya hizo su coraje.
The rage coming through, the frustration is felt. So many placement points lost.
A ton of placement points lost. They got around the top 15. It is wide open. If Pixie, Marius, and Vanya can figure out a way to win this game with a certain number of eliminations, for one of the first times today, we could see a new first place team. But
ellos juegan el equipo del Marius, ahí está, pero todavía en pie.
Two different games today. We saw them on high ground and they faltered. This could be
llevará esta partida, amigos.
But look at the amount of materials they have, Jacob. 85 builds, and that's just on Marius. They are so strongly overhead. The rest of the lobby collapsing into itself. It's cannibalizing itself underneath them. They hardly have to do anything at all. Just spray, suppress, while Pablo continuing to try and push through the storm sickness, tearing away at his back. He finally manages to get inside the zone, but they've been chopped. Pixie saves himself at the last second with the crash pad, but it's Kanata. He's going up. Marius trying to stop it.
hope. It's not enough for them to take first. I said they need a certain number
Verga,
of
güey, ver
eliminations.
todas las
Well,
cajas.
that's one step
Todo
further
boxeado
for
ahí.
taking that top spot. And now the pressure continues. Rapid scrambling round. He has a very little build. Kanata, he is out. Not a single material left. The splashes are running out as well. Pings from M8 trying to make a miracle run continue. 373 points. It is on him for the solo clutch to pick up these points.
Queasy's just a fan of everybody else in this lobby right now. He
Alex,
needs someone to
también
take
sigue
out.
vivo.
He needs to see Vanya Boo Boo fall.
Por poco,
from the
ya se lo va a
top
llevar
of
la
it
verga
all,
la
but
tormenta,
Clips
ya se lo va a
still
cargar la
trying to
verga.
heal
Bye,
backside his
Clips.
own. He's got nothing left.
Te quedaste en
Storm's
la
gonna take care
tormenta,
of him.
brother.
Vanya, Pixie, and Mattias, though, refuse to budge. They're not gonna let this one slip through their fingers. For Queasy, it's like grabbing at smoke, watching this lobby try to take them down. Muzz and Shadow still giving some hope. They are a fully intact trio.
There's only 3 full trios left in this game. Shadow, Sphinx, and Muzz are one of them. But
King
they're
sigue
getting
de pie
pressured
todavía.
on the other side, on the low ground by King Phaser, P8's in. They're trying to run around, take priority on the zone. They have beaten Muzz up this hill, but they're focusing on the high ground. They ran out of build. It's all turning sideways. Down goes
Whoa.
P8's in. King is scrambling. He's able to get one,
Adios,
but it's
King.
not enough. 3v3. The eventuality comes in. Marius is dropping down. He wants to finish the
No,
fight, but
ya lo
he's gonna
bajaron
go
a Marius
down.
también.
Vanya trying to stay up. 2 different medkits, 2 splashes left, and it's a 1v3 situation.
Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow might have just done it. All they have to do is remain fully intact. Vanya's still from up above. He's got a couple of chug splashes. He's got a couple of medkits. This might be our first heal up that we are witnessing, Jacob. He knows he doesn't have any other choice. He's got to fully retreat. Sphinx gonna be the last line of defense. He's violating going forward. He can't manage to figure out where Vanya is at, though. There's so much space in between them. Shadow still has 130 left in the Medmins, but Vanya, more bandages, still has some splashes. Is Storm Sickness going to come
No,
into
ya con
effect?
esa vas a
Or will
mamar,
Shadow
brother.
manage to do it with the Medmins? Vanya scrambling. He found another medkit. Where is
No,
he going? He can't
por
hold on.
poquito,
Completely
güey.
over. It was an excellent attempt, but Sphinx, Muzz, and Shadow, they find their
Qué
one.
buena partida,
You
güey.
saw Sphinx right there, letting them know.
Shadow.
Multi-region champion Muzz
Music.
showing up big, and the young star Shadow has showed up to take a big win on the international stage. Frankie, I need to know how they're feeling.
Guys, that was absolutely incredible. My favorite heel off I have ever watched. I know, Muzz, that you went down first, but what was it like watching these two?
Wait. No, I was alive.
Oh, you were alive. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was literally eyes on
Pinche vieja
3
tonta, güey.
parts of the screen there. So you were alive.
Yeah.
What was the heel off like?
My heart was beating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was beating. Now, I've always wanted to win a game on LAN, and I finally did it. So, shout out to the best IG on the world.
Congratulations, Muzz. I mean, Benji.
Yeah, you did it. The first victory royale on this grand final for you. How do you feel, man?
primer
I
victoria,
feel
güey.
great, you know. I'm just happy right now. My heart was beating so bad that last game, but we pulled through.
Il est trop heureux, tout simplement. C'est vrai, c'est la première, il a dit, c'est que du bonheur pour lui. Première victoire royale dans ce tournoi pour ce trio.
I feel like your hearts might have been beating, but you were full
Nah, pues sí, güey,
on
cómo no va a estar tu pinche
confidence.
corazón latiendo
For
todo lo que da, güey.
you,
Estás
was
en
your
un
hand shaking,
mundial.
or were you just eyes on the prize?
Frankie, we had this interview twice before. This ain't nothing new to me, you know what I'm saying?
Sphinx, you do have form at Global Championship, but how does this one compare to Lands of the Past?
It feels good, you know, we low-key sold day one. We're bringing it back today. It just feels good to know, like, I still got it in me, you know what I'm saying?
Of course you've still got it in you. This whole team has got it in them. But what's the plan now? What is the purpose of these next 2 games?
Changed nothing, it's working today.
It's worked so well for you. Thank you so much. Everyone, please give it up for Shadow, Sphinx, and Muzz!
Buena partida, buena partida.
The crowd love to make noise, and I'm loving to hear it. We're going to take a break because we've got 2 more games to go.
Bien tranquilos, brother.